I'm James Quack. I'm the owner of Treebrush Apothecary. I am basically everything in the business. My dad was in the industry from when I was very young, and I've always had the products, the methodologies present in my life, and I thought, why not give it a crack myself? I started it back in 2019 as a bit of a side hustle. I wanted to expand my graphic design background into a business that I could actually develop for myself. Then COVID-19 hit, and of course living in Queenstown at the time, working for a tourism-based business, we all got made redundant, and my flatmate and I had our own little side hustles. We body slammed them. I started up a Facebook page for the product and the brand. I joined a couple of the Facebook groups that had started at the time, one of them being New Zealand made products. Every now and then I get an explosive post where it just got over 1,000 likes, heaps of engagement, they'd start flying out the door. And once we were finally let out of lockdown, I started selling them at the farmers markets. So I've got a weird triangle in my marketing. The first touch point most people find me at is the farmers markets, where they'll be able to trial products in person, maybe get some of the small ones, give it a try. Then they've actually got to find me somewhere when they want to top up, which is where I've got my website. And this is touch point number 2, which is somewhere where they can always reliably find my products. They know where to find me. They can read up more information about each individual product. Touch point number 3 is the social media, which is regularly coming up with new stuff, saying where they can find me once again at the farmers markets, where they can talk to me. It really humanises it so that they realise that this is a one-man band, this is a tiny little Kiwi company, and they're not just speaking to the assigned social media person, they're talking to the actual crazy person that develops all these products. So I am my own website provider, thankfully. I use WordPress and WooCommerce, and it is self-hosted on an Amazon EC2. I manage the server. I developed the website from scratch overnight, believe it or not, simply because as a web developer, I am super familiar with WordPress. I needed a really quick turnaround. It saves me so much money being able to do my own work, and I realise that's actually quite a special, privileged position to be in. So I'm thinking of shifting from WooCommerce simply because the web server has absolutely reached its limit with my nonsense and needs to be retired. So I'll be looking at BigCommerce as my next touch point. There's a few digital assist tools that I use. Ahrefs is one of them. It's an SEO tool. Similarly, I use Google PageSpeed Insights, or GPI. It's a fantastic way of making sure that your website is performing the way Google and similar search engines want it to perform. And I also have the Yoast plugin for my website, which makes sure that the content of the website of each individual page is performing and the metadata is up to spec. I think I use tools in a bit of a bespoke way, using them possibly in ways that weren't originally intended to be used, and it really does help to streamline my work. So I use Google Workspace, and I have for many years. Something that I've made that's bespoke is a very thorough formula template for my products, where not only does it calculate what needs to go into each individual batch, it also calculates the exact cost per gram or per unit. I've got all of my wholesale prices in there. I can change things on the fly to better suit new ingredient costs or a customer requirement. So even though it is just plain vanilla Google Sheets, I've managed to turn those into a really in-depth tool that I think a lot of other small businesses that don't necessarily have a formulating background may not possibly have pulled together. And something I've been really enjoying about Digital Boost is the emails coming in through their newsletters. It's been fantastic to basically prompt me of like, by the way, sort out your social media. By the way, have you been working on your newsletters? By the way, how's your SEO going? It almost forms a task list for me. It's basically kept me on track. If you're everything in a business, then ideas are going to leak out and disappear into the ether as you do 50 things at once. So it's so important to make sure that you absolutely write down every idea, every task in a system that you trust. So for fellow small business owners, I would recommend you actually sit down and grind out a flowchart of how your business works from start to finish, what tasks need to be performed when, so that you are intimately familiar with the process, and then you can start looking for digital tools that fulfill those roles, can give you an assist in those specific tasks, so that you're not just going for the one that's got the best marketing pitch or the cheapest one or a free one. As a result, if you do this, you will be able to flawlessly, seamlessly introduce digital tools. Make sure that your tech stack is working for you.